Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Queued Up. We're heading back to the Rift, and joining with me today will be J-Dog, Eli, and back from the void is Kepley. How have you been, man?
I was in the void. I was out there battling Cho'Gath, Kog'Maw,
Yeah, well,
Kha'Zix,
I'm glad
dodging
you're back
ganks.
safely with us, just like Malzahar, making it way back, buying the void a bit. But we are back here with another episode of Queued Up. As I said, we're heading back to the Rift, and, well, Split 3 has finally ended, or the pick and play phase for Split 3 has finally ended. And we have C9 on top, FlyQuest in second. What is everybody's thoughts on the finale of the pick and play phase for LTA North and South?
I mean, it ended with the best teams on top, which competitively is good. Except I think FlyQuest probably should be over Cloud9 personally. Maybe they should have gone back and done like the previous split seeding as the tiebreaker. Overall, I was a bit underwhelmed by the structure of it all, and it felt like it created some weird situations. I wasn't a huge fan of the system overall.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a crazy theory. Why don't you just have the two teams play each other for a
I would
tiebreaker?
love
I mean,
that.
it's crazy, right? Like, why would you just give Cloud9 first place? You know, not that they don't deserve it because they are a good team, but they haven't beat FlyQuest, so like they just have this fake title, right? And it's like an interim championship in UFC. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I definitely think that the format turned out weird, and obviously that with our top two teams being so much better than everybody else, there's not like a big negative that's probably going to come of this. But like if we did have three competitive teams for the top instead of just the top two, it could have caused some real craziness. And I think there was also some drama just around the fact of when the teams found out about how this tiebreaker was done. From my understanding, throughout most of the split, everybody thought it was if there's a full tie, it comes down to split two final results. And then like in the final week, the casters start saying C9 could take first place, and then we think it's strength of schedule. Turns out they're completely tied in strength of schedule, which is hilarious because they didn't get to pick their opponents. And it comes down to game time, and C9 had the big advantage, which I'm totally fine with it being game time, but I'd like to see that on broadcast. You know, give me a countdown. Like C9 needs to win this game by this time to secure first place.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at LTA South, it's definitely, they had a bit of a Wild West, but it came down to the map win advantage that Red Canids had over the rest of the team. So all Vivo, Keatstar, Pay, and Furia were ending in the 2-1. But theirs came down to a little bit more of an easier with the game advantage going to Red Canids to gain first place. LTA North, as we said, kind of had that weird game time no one really knew. So I was thinking there, sitting before, I was like, okay, FlyQuest is just going to be first. We'll see who they get the pick. Regardless, we may end up seeing Team Liquid versus Cloud9 once again because, FlyQuest obviously might go for Shopify. They've already beaten them, but it changed up, and that's not what we end up getting. So, again, this is a phase and a, weird split for LTA North. They tried something, pick and play. Lower-seeded teams ended up picking who they want to play, but then we end up having a team like Lion, despite winning one game, they didn't end up getting to pick who their opponent was at the end, had to play FlyQuest, the best team, just because of who they had played previously. It kind of seemed like this, phase, although they had good intentions trying to create some hype, had a lot of holes and had a lot of drawbacks that we saw through a lot of the games. So I'm kind of wondering what they might end up doing going into the next one, what their feelings were for it. I kind of hope that they put out, maybe into the dive. They may speak a little bit, later on. Of course, it came out today, so we don't know what they talked about yet. But I'm really interested to see how that comes out because to me, it kind of felt underwhelming.
Yeah, I agree. And Eli said it best on the last episode. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out. That if the rules take more than, like 2 sentences to explain to people, like it's not even good. And to your point, J-Dog, why I bring that up is like, your casters were confused, and those are the people who are like your main face to bring in the viewer to help explain that to them. And then you're looking at like, Cadril or I Will Dominate, and like they don't even understand what's going on. So no one can explain how these rules work. It's just a flawed system, end to end. But I will give them a little bit of credit. I think it's okay to try new things and to take risks. So I think that that's cool. But I think that they just saw like the hype of EWC with crushing the trophies and whatever, and they're like, how can we do it the same but slightly different?
I mean, you say that, but it was like planned way in advance. They already said that they've had this in advance that they were going for, and we've seen how it's played out. But there are multiple phases to this split 3 phase. We are now moving into the elimination phase, meaning that the teams that now had the higher score and had the better score will choose their opponents that come into the elimination phase in week number 4 that are in the similar bracket. So they had to be in the top 4, could choose between, or Cloud9 got to choose first, but it had to be within those top 4 teams. And then, of course, the winning team from the bottom got to choose who they want to play. right now we have some matches that are going to be played next. We once again will have Shopify versus Cloud9, FlyQuest versus FlyQuest versus Team Liquid will be some of our next matches. But we want to see how we got there. We actually have a lot of our matches that we picked for this week to go over are some of those matches that were played over the last weekend. So we're going to go ahead and jump into some of those. Kepley, give us a rundown on yours.
Yeah, so I picked Shopify Rebellion versus 100 Thieves, and it's not even so much for the gameplay, not the stats. You know, I know like on the last episode, you guys honed in a lot of it. It's more the story that's evolved from this. So 100 Thieves, right? The big overarching theme here with them is that, hey, this is our last split in the league, and if your player's there, especially someone like FBI, who's been an outstanding AD carry the whole time he's here, then you're asking yourself, like, do I have a spot next year? Right? Whoever takes this spot, are they going to hire me? And so this is a time as a player, in my opinion, that you need to really step up and shine the most. But to lose to someone like Shopify Rebellion, who isn't a powerful name in league, they have looked a little bit better recently, but they're not FlyQuest, they're not Cloud9. So for you to drop it, you arguably, in my opinion, are still a top 4 team. You're always in that conversation. FlyQuest, Liquid, Cloud9, and then you have 100 Thieves. Now you fell to the Lion's Den, right? You lost to Shopify, and Lion looked pretty hungry, man. And I've always argued it, and I will continue to argue it, that Lion deserve a spot in that mid card, right, where they can fight for 3 and 4. And I just don't think it looks good. So for your final season as the organization 100 Thieves, if you're going to drop off and get eliminated, you don't get a Worlds appearance in your last voyage, right? Like, it's just not going to carry that much impact, and people are going to, look at that.
Yeah, this was a really interesting match. A lot of drama, really, on both sides. For Shopify, we had the whole Palafox getting mad at the casters for criticizing him and coming out to prove himself. I mean, dropping a big stinker here, 0-4-2 on the Annie in the first game was a bad sign. It's like, why are you criticizing me? And then you deliver a game like this. And then on the 100 Thieves sides, too, they've got Dokla in. Sniper was a big shining point on this roster for me. He had some downsides, but also so many like bright, shiny moments and a great future potential. So I'm really questioning the decision to bring in Dokla. They brought him in as a coach, and then they bring him in and sub him in for Sniper. Doesn't really, I don't know. I would just rather see this team with Sniper and stick with what they've been working on. But like you said, they're kind of on their way out of the league, so I question the decision making.
Well, yeah, and the bot lane's always been the shining star here, right? So FBI and Elia, right, where you have just, standout performances. They're really consistent in their roster. 100 Thieves has always been plagued most by their mid game. Right, so they've always had outstanding early games. Their laners have typically done well. They go into the mid game and they fall apart. Right? They don't have a synergy there. But you kind of see that story throughout here, and then they start dropping the ball to Shopify. Maybe the pressure builds up. Maybe it is this new Shopify roster, right? Me and Chris were talking before the show. Chris puts them at the number 3 in the league right now, and so it's like a really impressive take there. But I'm just disappointed if this is the final showing that we get of 100 Thieves, right? If they do lose to Lions in this next matchup, it's just a horrible way for 8 years of a legacy to fall apart. And as we go into game 2 here, right, we kind of start to see that story of Shopify. If Palafaker does shine up a little bit, right, you get that Yone, a little bit more playmaky than the Annie. And then, I'm still looking at the 100 Thieves bot lane, right, because I'm a big FBI fan. Like, they still have a good performance down there, right? But the rest of the team, they just can't shine.
I feel like a big point, you're talking about that bot lane. I feel like a lot of other bot lanes were able to catch up, and that top lane has been a big point of contention in the league so far.
Oh, yeah.
Especially seeing the rises of Thanatos. You have Whippo, who's always been solid, and Fudge has been picking up his gameplay to where he may not always carry, but he's always a good anchor point for the team. But, they're going up against B-Boy and Seus. B-Boy obviously, played in Korea. He also played in CB Lowell before it became LTA South, then moved over to NA to play for some of the NA teams. And he's been actually a really big point for that Shopify team. So I feel like when you have someone like Sniper, who kind of had been on a little bit of a decline, and we're not sure if maybe that is due to them picking up Dokla, and then maybe there are a lot of things behind the scenes that before we even knew about, and maybe some of the other players from other teams knew about, there was, some risk being created, no pun intended. I am along with J-Dog, though. I think Dokla was not even a lateral move. It was a lower move. There's a reason why he wasn't playing for a little while. He hasn't been on top of his game. This series showed it. I mean, I'm looking at the stats right now, and it's just not good for him. 3-11-11. You might as well just keep Sniper at that point. He's been playing a lot longer. He's, at least, warmed up in that he's been playing the previous weeks. He's been playing with the team. And even if Sniper went 3-11-11, at least he's a younger player that can get better over time. Dokla, 3-11-11, that's not what you bring them on for.
No, and I think the fact that they dropped this first game might have led into kind of the decision making for Cloud9 to pick them. When you look at the score lines for who was the options in that top pick, you had Shopify at 3-0 and TL at 1-2. But C9 take the 3-0 team over them. But I think it just goes to show that the quality of teams that you play against.
And here we've got the game 3 in front of us. Shout out to Fudge. He earned me a lot of fantasy points on this Cho'Gath. The Cho'Gath was awesome, man.
Yeah.
This guy, I love this game, and it also created one of my favorite commentary moments so far this split, where Cho'Gath ults the Rift Herald, and the caster's like, how many calories do you think a Rift Herald is? Yeah. It was like 1 million, probably.
And Cho'Gath likes more calories.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was pretty awesome to see. This was not really a close game 3. It felt like 100 Thieves kind of fell apart in this one. I don't know. I kind of expected them to put up more of a fight, but Quid was like kind of not even there in the game. He's just like side laning and getting CS and then not a part of the fights. I don't know. It didn't feel like they were very coordinated this game.
Yeah, and I feel like I've set us up for this narrative to like talk about how bad 100 Thieves looked in this series, but I do want to highlight the good there with Contracts. Like Contracts was on point this whole series, man. He just like really had like a standout performance, as well as Fudge. I also had him drafted in fantasy last week, so like I'm farming in points there. But it's just overall you have a Shopify Rebellion who's hungry. They know they're going to be here next year, so they're on this big uphill climb. And then 100 Thieves, like, in the face of losing their spot or giving away their spot in the league, not even necessarily losing it, but there's opinions on that, right? Like these players, they don't seem determined to try to really secure their spot next split. They're just kind of hoping that whoever gets this new slot brings them over.
Exactly. But talking about lines, then we're going to go ahead and jump into Eli's pick. Go ahead and shoot us yours.
Yeah, mine was the Battle of the Owens, as I like to call it, because they were both 0-2 at the time. So that's Dignitas and Disguised Toast. And props to props to Disguise for getting their first win in the LTA period, which is a big deal, right? I wasn't a fan of it. I had Dignitas players on my fantasy, so it kind of hurt me a bit. But it's still cool to see these guys come out on top in this one. If we can pull up the stat page here, there's a couple of things that I wanted to highlight. But Disguise in general just looked better. It was kind of like Dignitas, though, maybe more failing than it was Disguise doing well. What did you think, J-Dog?
Yeah, I thought it was definitely a Clown Fiesta battle of the bottom for sure. Owens is a very appropriate name. And I don't know, man. I really thought that Dig was going to win this. I liked the addition of Photon. I thought that Shaden had a good chance to make a bunch of plays in all these games, but they just weren't able to do it. The first game here, this one went Disguised way, right?
Yes.
I believe so, yeah. Yeah, they had Darkwing sitting on
game 2.
Sitting on the Ziggs and just pumping out that damage. It's an interesting combo. We don't see LTA teams pulling that out very much.
No, we don't. This one was, very interesting. I just think that Dignitas has been plagued by inconsistency and just not having a solid game plan on being able to know what they want to do. Disguise has made a lot of changes as well. And I think with those changes, especially adding Rahel and Darkwings, has really boosted the team. We're kind of talking about how, 100 Thieves are trying to make the name because they're losing that spot. Those players want to, make their way, try to get back onto a franchise team. But on the opposite end, we're looking at Disguised Toast, who is in this guest slot, meaning that regardless of how they would have finished out the season, they have to play for their spot against whoever wins the challenger, the tier 2 scene for NA, and retain their spot. So right now, they are making a name, they're basically saying that we have the ability to compete in the LCS or the LTA right now. We're going to do our best to try to stay in, and I'm liking what I'm seeing from them. Dignitas, though, hasn't been as impressive, so this win is a good stepping stone for Disguised Toast, especially seeing Darkwings come out and then Rahel dropping 16-5 as a series overall score. I think they're a lot of fun to watch now. Unfortunately, Scary Jerry was a little too scary for the play, so he got let go. But I think with the changes that they've made, they're looking really good. And it may not be enough to win against some of the best teams. They may end up losing in their Week 5 matchup. But against an academy team or the challenger scene, they may have enough to stay in the spot if they're on the trajectory that they're continuing.
Yeah, I think the removal of Scary Jerry and the addition of Rahel was huge for Disguise. He's a big win condition, and you see Dark Wings, even in interviews, the way this guy talked, he's not playing to win the game through mid. He's just playing to neutralize, stay solid, and then let his AD carry just completely dominate when you get into the late game. They drafted a very AD carry focused draft here in game number 2. It didn't end up working out for them. The Aphelios Thresh it's feast or famine. Like if you get ahead, you should be able to win and stuff, but it's tough. They had a lot of engage with the Nico and the Olaf.
Yeah, we're not even talking about the Malzahar right there. I mean, it's just like an out of the left field pick there. I mean, it's just wild. I think that a big storyline here, and I know I'm like super cherry picking, but Dignitas towards the end of last split in the playoffs did have like a big uprising where they really cemented that they could be a mid-tier team. So the fact that Disguised, who was kind of the meme team, right, has this series and has these games look as close with really like some meme picks. Like Malzahar didn't do terrible despite the stat line. You know, and the same with Aphelios Thresh. Like they're taking some risky picks and they're making it exciting and they're hanging with this team that looks like, you know, they are like a solid number 5, Dignitas. So I don't know. I kind of like what I'm seeing out of both these teams, and I think this was a good like thrashing to set the storyline up for later on in the play.
I also like that, you know, this was the best of 3, the crazy one that we saw. And then once we get into the pick and play part, or the picking part as the end of pick and play, we get an elimination, we get them pick again. You know, Disguise picks Dignitas again. So after this best of 3, we get to see a really big best of 5.
It was also to note that this was the first win for Disguised Toast in the LTA North. So they finally got their win. Congratulations to Toast. I know he had to been happy about that. Unfortunately, didn't get to see if he was actually on site because we've seen him on site a couple of times.
Put out a video. There's a big
okay,
YouTube
I'll have
video
to watch that because that was great. I'm happy for Toast. So he finally got his win. Maybe we can get the second when they play each other in week 5. Again, week 4 they won't play since that will be the topper half. But definitely good to see. These teams are definitely going to battle out to kind of see who can maybe take that next spot to continue to move on. But we'll go ahead and go to my pick here, which was C9 versus Team Liquid. And, this is kind of like a fabled tale against, from LCS into LTA now, 2 historic orgs. They've been here pretty much since the beginning of time. And right now, Team Liquid look lost. I have no idea what's going on with this team besides their bot lane. APA, who I still think is a very solid mechanical player, just does not seem like himself. And when you're going up against a team such as Cloud9, who just are solid but have, that real clutch factor in Thanatos right now, you have to be on top of your game. Looking at game number 1, I saw the most insane ults from this Rumble that I think I've seen from all of this year. Like, even Zeus hasn't been hitting, like, so many clutch max range ults to kind of win the game. And Liquid actually didn't look that bad. The Yunara from Yeon was absolutely insane.
It really was. I mean, Yunara is proving to be a top-tier meta pick that is going to continue to dominate. It wasn't enough for Team Liquid to win this one. This one was kind of tragic, in my opinion, because Team Liquid were actually ahead quite a bit. I want to say it was like 10-3 or something like that in the kills department before Thanatos started going crazy with the Rumble ults like you talked about. And it felt like their chance to win. And as soon as you like lose a game that you have such a massive edge, like that does numbers to your mental as well. Like I don't know if they entered the next game as strong as they could have. Honestly, both of these games were super close though. Like this was very winnable for Team Liquid. And despite them, having a rough split, they're 1 and 2. I felt like they did show signs of life that they could potentially hang with the likes of C9 and FlyQuest. They just got to learn how to close out the game because they're starting it pretty well. They're just not closing.
Yeah, I think you're spot on about starting the game well. Any game where your Yunara is super far ahead, I think they were like 1,500 gold ahead at 15 minutes, and you can't close it out, especially when you're a team like TL that, like Chris said, is only playing right now through their bot lane. The top and mid, both your solo lanes just look completely lost and borderline useless. Like, that's the game that you do win. Not pulling it out, losing again in game 2 doesn't surprise me after that. I really wonder if this team would be looking better if they had kept Umpty. Like, UG seems like a very solid player, but I don't know, are they missing some of the leadership? Are they missing some of the self-sacrificing stuff that Umpty did? Their drafts maybe seem like they would fit more with a Umpty-style picks fitting in there than the UG picks, but I'm not really sure.
Yeah, unfortunately with the umpty, that's an outside of the control. It's not really we're choosing UG just because we want him to play. It was more we want to make sure that umpty, doesn't get burnt out, much like, previous happening in the LCS back in the day. But I mean, UG though hasn't been playing that bad though overall. I mean, he's actually been doing pretty well. And we're talking about leadership. This is kind of where we're expecting Impact or Core to step up. But I feel like Core is so focused on making sure that they can win through that bot lane that they're missing in other places. But for me, it's just when you're having like someone like Loki who can start off the game kind of like mid and then completely ramp up APA. He's sitting on, the ante. He should just be able to press the R, stun someone up, and go forward and help his team out with Yon being able to just, hit people from the back line. Impact is on that Scion. He should just be able to run in ult, help out, just let the ADC go off. But, they're being caught off guard right now. I want to see them pick up because I want to see more, or see just better games in general throughout the whole entire split. But right now C9 just look on a whole different level. I mean, we're looking at this. Thanatos just completely destroyed them on the in the top lane on their war, right? Yeah, and that's a pick that a lot of top laners have been struggling with, maybe outside of Zeus.
I hate that pick.
You see,
every week I talk about
right,
it.
you do, but he came out 7-3, over 30k damage off of it. Blabber this game, despite missing some smites, was still really big on that Skarner, just kidnapping everyone.
Yeah, the ults were
yeah,
crazy.
those ults were just insane the whole entire time, and they right now C9 just kind of look on top of the world. They get to play against Shopify. But I think that's going to be a really good matchup, and I'm really excited to see how they play out.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, and like I've been quiet on purpose, is I am like Impact's #1 hater these days, and I just don't think that Impact has the depth to his champion pool that he needs in what League has become. Right? I feel like it's aged past him to a point where this is where, in my opinion, like the 6-man roster, which people have their own feelings on it, would be useful because you're not going to see Impact bust out Aurora. Ever. Like he just plays safe things. He plays his Renekton's, he plays his Scions, he plays these beefy tanks. He has like sometimes he can play Ambessa, right? Like he'll have the 1 or 2 game and like Jax. Jax is like a weird tanky type assassin setup. But I just don't think the game has evolved to him. So like, yeah, you're just waiting in these matchups against C9 and FlyQuest to see, Impact has to go even because he's never going to beat Thanatos. So then when Thanatos can enter the map, right? He's just normally so far ahead of Impact. The same with someone like Blippo. And these other teams, like, no knock against them, their top laners just don't have the agency to be able to compete with someone with the name of Impact, right? So they kind of crumble a little bit. But like I would argue Fudge is getting up there. I just think that their top lane is such a hard point. Core JJ can ascend to be that leader, right? He's a veteran. He always has good impact on support. Your top lane, in my opinion, for Liquid has been your problem for a while. But who wants to say, especially on that roster, like, oh, we should replace Impact, former world champion. But I think it needs to be done. I think they either need a 6-man or they need to just let him go into content creation for a little bit.
The scary thing about letting Impact go is I've noticed this trend with this player. Every time he leaves a team and goes to a new one, his performance just rises right back to the level you expect. So it's like, we're going to get rid of him, and he's going to go to one of these other LTA teams and then destroy whoever we move in. Like, I just know that that's going to happen. It happened with him when he moved to EG. He looked completely revitalized. There's like half of a bad split, and then he just somehow turns back into that monster. So I don't know. He's got to figure out a way to do it. Bench him for half a split or something and let him. Yeah, something like that.
Make him earn the spot again.
Maybe it's also the Faker T1 thing where it's like he needs to sit out for a bit so the players can really appreciate having the thing. Like, if you're looking at Impact to fully carry the game, he's not going to do that. You need to figure out a way to play around it.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, we love FlyQuest, we love Lion, but we're going to go ahead and jump across the pond for J-Dog's pick over here. Why don't you give us a rundown on yours?
Yeah, so I went for the new El Clasico. This is Koi versus Carmine Corp over in the LEC. We got the big Spanish fan base versus the big French fan base, and it delivered a pretty serious 3-game banger in the LEC. The play, I think, was really good. Both teams looked really solid. Just throw back to our old queued up episodes where, Chris, you talk about how we missed out having Carmine Corp at MSI. I think you're so right. Watching Kana play the top lane so well, his laning is such a boon to the team. Puts him in such a big advantage in every single game. They look really good.
I agree. I mean, if there's one thing that I have to wear as a badge of shame for the rest of this show, it's that I didn't believe in Carmine Corp back when we first started our early episodes. And I mean, I've been proven wrong every single week. Carmine Corp looked phenomenal, and Koi is just like, I don't know what happened during that winter split as we come into this new one, but they have just become awoken, man. It's like they're the new G2 in a way, right? They're just asleep for a while, and then they just wake up and they put on banger games, but they just fell a little short to KC.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this draft a little bit. I felt like the problem with this for Koi was the Lilia pick in jungle. Like, why are we first picking Lilia in game 1 in a fearless style? Like, you should be picking a champion that has more agency. If the thought process is to have more CC in these team fights, then why don't you pick like a Sejuani or something that's a bit more relevant? I felt like, I don't know, this was just a head scratcher. I even looked up his stats. I was like, is he good with this champion? He hasn't won a game on Lilia in the last calendar year.
Yeah,
Like,
and they get hard
understand.
countered by the Milio pick and the support there.
Yeah.
Being able to completely cleanse the ultimate sleep from Lilia is just a hard counter. I don't know if maybe they had some 5D chess strat where they were like, we're going to pick this, so if they counter us with Milio, we have a good matchup in the bot lane for our Aphelios Alistar, but it didn't work out, and that counter is strong.
Also, you give Kalist Yanara, like, I don't know. There was a lot of question marks for me in this one. Like, Kalist is, in my opinion, one of the best ADCs in the world. I love watching this kid play. And he's playing the best ADC champion, what it looks like in the game right now.
No, I agree with that. Yunara looks broken. That character with gold and when she gets firing is absolutely wild.
Yeah, I think the Lily is an okay first pick because I think they were setting up for JoJo with Yone, and I think that JoJo just couldn't get the presence on the map. Because, you know, if you have an AD carry mid, then, or not an AD carry, but if you have an AD mid, then you need to complement that with AP somewhere. And they did put Aurora in the top lane
That's
to try
what I'm saying. It's like
they tried to offset the Rumble, right, in that pickup. But Lily, I mean, if Lilia gets ahead, she's going to take over. Her jungle clear speed's insane. And it just balances out your team power there a little bit. Aphelios, I'm not an AD carry. He's got too many weapons for me, but I'm pretty sure most of his damage is all AD.
100%.
So, you know, I don't think he's got any like weird on-hit magic damage there. But I just think that Lilia is not a bad pick. I just don't think they executed well. They're trying to do too much. They were trying to cook a little too hard there, though.
Yep, they were. I mean, the funny thing about this one is just that I'm in agreement. It's just you put up the Lilia, you know she's going to want to go in. Great pickup from the Skarner afterwards. I think we were watching a majority of the time that she tried to go in, she would just instantly get ulted and suppressed by the Skarner. And even if, you know, she is a little bit ahead, she gets suppressed like that, can't sleep, then next thing you know, they're going to killer. But game 2, we had the swap. So first game was really, you know, a really big, you know, swing for Carmine Corp. Then we saw kind of the Koi that we had saw in the playoffs from Split 2 just completely dominate this game. And this is kind of what we've been seeing a lot from the top 2 teams, especially since MSI and EWC. That one team will have a really good one game, another team will have another really good game for game number 2. This was the, you know, much more stylized draft that you were talking about. We have the JoJo on Talia. We have Mbessa for Merwin. I really like this draft from them. They really showed up on it. Basupa, though, he is a really good AD carry. You're talking about some top AD carries in the world. He is definitely up there as well. Split 2 MVP for a reason, especially on the server.
Yeah, I really need teams to start putting more respect on Mbessa. I feel like Mbessa is just like anytime she's in the game, just takes over. Which it's kind of ironic. Like people just don't really know what to pick against her because she's so mobile. So we need some kind of strategy there. But I've noticed this trend across all regions. Like if Mbessa is allowed to be on the map, then you just lose typically. So you probably need to start investing some bans into that, especially if you're going to pick something like Scion, which does okay against Mbessa, right? Early game, we said that's like one of Boss's picks against it, but Jax is another one that we see. They're AP Jax to be specific. So I don't know. I just think Mbessa was like the big thing here in this map, personally for me.
Yeah.
He just took over.
Yeah, definitely, especially when you get late into a Fearless series, I really think Mbessa shines. She could easily be picked early on in the series and do completely fine, but if somehow she slips to a game 3 or later and is able to be picked against characters that are much weaker, and also having access almost Rumble style with her ultimate, having that long range to be able to threaten while you're on the flank, you have to worry about so many different angles, and it's like, dude, if my AD carry gets publicly executed by this Mbessa, we're just fully done. So the range, I think, mixed in with the Bruiser is what causes a lot of those issues. And we go into game 3. Game 3 was really intense. It was actually Vladdy on the Victor, kind of going big dog mode. This is another one of those late in the series picks that always seems to deliver. I feel like we saw a ton of it at MSI. And the Nico in the bot lane has been, I feel like in almost all of these games that we've talked about today, when I'm looking at it, I'm seeing the Nico support be on the winning side.
Yeah, Nico is so good right now. In my opinion, like the clone itself, you can use it to like scout vision. You can use it to fake people out. You can use it to put a little bit more damage in with the auto. You steal the auto attack of one of your characters. I'd love to see more sneaky, like pretending to be a minion plays. Those are some of my favorites.
So risky.
It is very risky and probably difficult to fool some of the best players in the world, but I just love to see it. I agree with you. I think Nico is just like insane, especially you pair that with a Wukong. You got the double clones going.
Yeah.
That's hard to play against.
Yeah, I love Nico, and Targamas pilots it so well. I mean, he got Series MVP for a reason, well deserved. He just had so many clutch engages there, and it's just like, it's really in a lot of ways, just to look at this matchup specific, it's Rel, but better. Right, like you have a bigger engage, you have a knock up, you don't have to like get as close. It's not
Safer
as risky.
in lane.
Yeah,
You just
safe
poke from
lane.
range.
I mean, it's just such a phenomenal pick there, and it just really shut down what isn't a bad comp from Koi, but like, you know, you're gonna want to group up just a little bit, right? With your Orianna, you need to get close enough to Ball Pantheon, you know, for his engage or Rel, and you're like, oh sweet, you're in perfect Pot Blossom range.
Yeah, this was a really big match. And just to kind of wrap things up on it, I feel like this is potentially a battle of the two best teams in Europe. Like, you know, these teams, we didn't see them at MSI, but I think that they're the top dogs. And I think these are the people who are going to be competing for that those top two European slots.
Europe's just so hard to predict, man. Like, I feel like they play musical chairs with who's the best, like
especially
from week to week.
G2, but then Fnatic adding Povey has looked really good.
Yeah.
That he's been. They have the meme now of him knocking on the doors, the Grim Reaper, taking out all the mid laners, and he's in that Group B, so he will have to face off against G2. So we'll have to see how that goes, because I believe that is this week, if I remember correctly. Let me take a quick gander at the old notes here. So I believe, yep, G2, Fnatic. Oh, nope, it's not till. Oh, yeah, the 17th. So it is going to be this weekend. So we're going to get a great game. Maybe they'll all show up on our next episode. But let's go ahead and we're going to move off of our favorite games, and we're going to move on to one of our favorite segments, and it is going to be time for Clutch or Kick. We're going to see what everybody has to say from some of their favorite league tweets and or happenings from the previous weekend. We'll let J-Dog kick us off.
All right, I'll start off. I don't remember the exact phrasing, but my Clutch or Kick is based off of the news that Solar Baka, if you don't know him, very popular NA streamer, has just recently hit Challenger on his second account where he's playing full AP Gangplank. And so my Clutch or Kick is that LoL has some depth to it that uninspired players are never going to find, because they get way too locked into their specific builds and copying what the pros are doing. But here you see, in this tweet, he was 8 wins, but he does hit it. And I just thought this was hilarious to see. I mean, he is building Triforce first. It's kind of a necessity with Gangplank, but after that, it's full AP. The ult does insane damage, and to make it a challenger on something like that, like I feel like AP Gangplank is one of those meme builds that like you're like it's not even a reasonable off-meta build, but gets all the way to challenger with it. So clutching that and clutching the uninspired depth. What are we thinking?
I'm gonna clutch this. I love off-meta picks or like alternative builds for champions that are like classically one or the other. This one's cool too, because like if you're playing against a GP and maybe you're not tabbing and checking like what he's building right away, you don't expect the ult to just completely delete you and burn you to death. Like I love that, because it kind of throws off the way that people's brain is like naturally tuned to play against that champion. Because like now you've got to adjust and like, oh, now this ability does way more damage than others. I think that it's hard for the pro players to like make the decision to do this in a serious match. You know, obviously this was in solo queue, so it's a little bit different, but I would like to see it more in pro play personally, and just see more creative ways to play the game, because it is really a deep game that has so many ways to build every single champion. That's one of the best things about League.
It's hard to kick this, right? I have to clutch it. So like you
Well designed.
You've well designed this pick, so I'll clutch it too. But I mean, like, I perfectly agree that too many people are meta slaves, or whatever the popular gaming term is now. Like, they look on, you know, their website, they say this is the build, that's the only thing I can build. But having that flexibility, I mean, we've seen it throughout history, and sometimes it makes its way to pro play, and that's actually like the worst thing that can happen, is because then it gets nerfed and it's gone.
Yeah, that's true.
But you used to have like AP Master Yi, right, back with Moscow 5 and Alex Each. They brought it into the pro scene. AP Gangplank has been around for a while. AP Trendamir, right? Like, you get so much healing on your orange. So like it's not that this is like a super uncommon thing where people go off meta. I mean, but people need to be okay with it. And as a gaming base, we need to be more inspired to see picks like this, because I'm in the boat with like this guy. I'm sure that I go in and before Fiddlesticks support was popular, like I'm locking it in, or like Jarvan support. I love these off meta style picks that, because it, like you said, it catches players off guard. They don't know what to do against it. They take bad trades, and like all the time it's like report Fiddlesticks for trolling, blah, and then I pop off and I'm like carrying the game, and it's never like, oh sorry bro, I was wrong. It's like, yo, you got lucky. You suck.
That's just solo queue no matter what.
That is solo queue. I'm going to clutch it because of the fun factor, but I also had a thought in my head that was popping up. I'm glad I kind of went last, but like it kind of reminds me of a better version of, so when Dantes was doing his, tried to get the 80 carry, when he was saying that 80 carry is an easy role, he never made it the challenger, but his whole thing was he tried to play tank because he was consistently getting killed in that AD carry role. I'm glad someone had fun and was able to make it in Challenger with a off meta, showing that it is viable. And even though some people may have had some not fun moments, someone did have a fun moment playing that AP game plank. We obviously know how AP builds can go on some AD carry sometime. Of course, reminiscing days of APE completely destroying people, unfortunately. But it's cool to see that people are still having fun, because I think a big thing that you see a lot of people talk about is that, oh, this game is not fun, you know, it's only one way to do something. And they get so locked into that people just don't innovate as much. And it's cool to see someone that's still able to do that right now.
You got to have the right mindset for it, though. And like, really study the numbers, because now if we have this conversation and the next game I play, my bot lane is locking in AP Jin, like I'm gonna have a problem. Like your mines aren't hitting anybody, bro. Like it's got to be the right champion. So don't go throw your games in solo queue.
It's that Balsian influence, man. Everybody wants to play the weird, crazy off meta AP random stuff. You know, AP Jax, he's making it look good. I think Bals will be the first one to bring it to pro, and then we'll see the others start.
Cool. All right.
Shout out
Well,
T-Mobile.
another super clutch. Great job, J-Dog.
That's right. 2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row.
That means I'm
We
getting
will
super
have
kick next
something
week
the
for
super
sure.
clutch
For
showing
sure.
up. I'll have a button soon that'll just have a super clutch sound. But let's go ahead and kick it off with Kepley next.
Me, I think seeing devs be savage on Twitter is okay. And so one of the big things with this came with like some of the announcements of like the WASD movement, and then like they're now cracking down. The other big news that came from that is they're cracking down on the Smurf accounts, right? The alts, and like it's all cool. Like we all love going on YouTube and seeing Tyler One smurfing his way to Challenger again, or like these Smurf series. They're cracking down on that, which I think is great. And so this guy, SLS, this tweet actually had a lot of mixed reviews, right, at the time when I grabbed this, where he was saying, hey, I make a lot of income off of boosting people or coaching, right? Boosting is a duo or coaching people, but the boosting is way more income. And just this guy, Drew, coming in, dropping the McDonald's application link, I think is like super savage and cool, because it's like, hey, you're playing a game where you agreed to this terms of service. You said that this is wrong. We've kind of let it go before. And this guy, you know, since this tweet has made a lot of cool stances on it, where he's right. The community always said like, oh, Riot will never crack down on Smurfs because they get a lot of revenue from people buying skins again or whatever. And they're basically saying like, hey, we want our game to be healthy and we want to go and battle this Smurf problem that we've got. We're okay to lose that revenue. I just think that like this is okay, but a lot of people in those tweets, so my stance is that it's okay. I'm clutching that obviously. But a lot of people in the tweets are upset saying he was too harsh and that like he shouldn't be acting like that. He should be more professional.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and clutch this, mostly because of what you said in the last part, is that he is savage, but he also can admit when he may have misinterpreted something. I believe there was another post on where someone was banned where they said that they were like elo boosting or smurfing, or like I think it was like elo boosting, or they had someone boosting their account. Come to find out that the player that was doing this was actually a challenger level player regardless already, and that he was playing like on a different account. And he was like, oh, my bad, we'll make sure we get rid of that ban on you because you actually do have the level of what you're playing at, and who you're playing with is just a regular friend of yours. And I think that he's gained a lot of traction for the right reasons, and he's addressing a lot of problems that League players have. It reminds me of Mort Dog, you know, and I hope he doesn't get burnt out like Mort Dog did, because I used to love when Mort Dog would consistently chime into the community on social posts because he gave a lot of great feedback. But I think it has to be done correctly. Unfortunately, Mort had been doing it for years, so he did end up getting burnt out. But having, you know, League writer do this is actually really cool also.
Man, I don't want to have back-to-back super clutches, but it's hard to not clutch this. Like it's so obvious to me that it should be okay for devs to just be blunt about it. Like bro, I don't care if your income is I don't care that it's your income if it's something that's ruining the gaming experience for other people that are playing the game you work on. Like, of course, like, sure, it's a way to make money. Is it a good way to make money? I don't think so, because it does just honestly make League worse. And I think any League dev should be, no, bro, go just get a job at McDonald's and stop ruining the experience. So I'm cool with it.
Yeah, that's also going to be a clutch for me. I think that this tweeter, whoever this guy was, what an absolute idiot. I mean, what are you what are you expecting? Some like sympathy that like you lost some of your income? Like no job is guaranteed forever. Like I don't know why you thought, being a league booster is going to be my career. Like this is gonna last forever. It's not. So be done with that. But also, I do want to just the caveat that this specific writer who said this, totally cool to be savage, but I don't think he's some new herald of a big change for Riot where they're going to be cracking down on smurfing and fixing things. I think there is some just publicity to this, which is totally fine. No harm in it at all. So totally cool with devs being savage, but let's be realistic. There's still going to be tons of smurfing, still tons of boosting. All of these systems are just going to adapt, and it's going to have to be a constant back and forth between Riot and these third-party organizations.
Yeah, I agree.
But
with that.
yeah, super kick, super clutch.
Super clutch. And another one. Okay.
Trying to gaslight you.
Let's see. Maybe I can break the mold a little bit here. But mine is.
I'll put mine to the front.
Yeah, we'll get yours to the front there. Good. So mine is. They're adding the timers to League of Legends now. They're adding an option to put the jungle timers to see when those are taken, so that you have that on your map. And then they're also adding summoner spells to your death recap. And I think this is good. I think this helps the casual experience for League of Legends. It's not going to do anything. It's not going to make pros worse or, lessen the pro scene. I think this is absolutely great. And I think they're just adapting to what third parties are already doing. So, if third parties are already putting it out, go ahead and put it in your game.
Yeah, I'll start. And while we're looking at this, I think this is a great use of seeing how it's going to be, being able to see all the skills that are used during team fights and stuff. It's going to be a clutch for me. I agree that it doesn't lower... Well, actually, I'm still going to clutch it. It does kind of lower the skill expression, but not in a meaningful way that really bothers me at all. I feel like if Doneby is able to keep track of all these timers and spam them into chat nonstop, like, it's fine. We can do it. And like you said, the third-party apps are already doing it. They're already making money off it. I don't blame Riot for cutting out that middleman, and maybe this means I won't need to have some piratey blitz.gg software downloaded on my thing, constantly mining me for, I don't know, what do they mine you for? Are they mining me for Bitcoin? Okay, information, yeah.
You'll probably still have it for like importing runes and stuff if you're like me and lazy. But I actually have to kick this because of the statement, right? So it does lower skill expression just naturally, but I think that it's being implemented, in my opinion, in a bad way in League. So I think it's cool that you have it and that you're taking on the third-party stuff, because you shouldn't need to have something third-party. It should just be a feature in your game. But to me, this should be, you're in bronze, you're in silver, you're in gold. This is when this feature is implemented. And as you get to higher ranks, it removes this, right? Because you put training wheels on, and then eventually you let the true skill expression of the game shine, where you have to keep track of that stuff. Because otherwise, it's just the Mickey Mouse League, right? And like, it makes it all easier, so folks are going to be focused more on gameplay. Just naturally, it's going to lower skill expression there to me.
I hadn't thought about that. Maybe like making it a casual-only mechanic or something. Casual and swift play.
So it is the feature where you can put it on and off. We haven't heard anything about pro play on whether or not it is allowed in pro play or not. That's something I've been, I left off because they haven't said anything about it. But that's one of my thoughts is, will this be allowed in pro play or not? We already know that they do timers. They speak anyways. So, regardless, I mean, in my opinion, mechanics are the number one thing. Learning death timers or not isn't going to change for a challenger player, whether or not they ping that flash or not. So
yeah, kind of also like a sub point to that, just before you go, kind of a shout out to Halo. Like, I think that system in League would be sick, where you have your coach there and like they can interact with the team as far as tracking timers of jungle camps and stuff.
Bro, let me talk, man.
Dude, that'd be sick, man. Okay,
talk.
I had to get that in before he goes.
I'm kicking this because of Halo. All right, listen. So I've been saying this since Halo Infinite came out. They have power up timers. They've got the sniper timer. They've got rockets. It's literally training wheels. That's the same word that I wanted to use to help these players. Oh, by the way, this thing's coming up. Back when we played, you had to like have all these numbers in your head. OS is at 42. So then at that minute mark, you've got to be down there to get the OS. You got to understand the timer in Halo 3. Every single weapon has unique timers that change throughout the match. You can also manipulate the timers by like grabbing a weapon in midair so that now only your team knows when it's going to come up after you've manipulated it. It's like, it definitely does lower skill expression, but that's by design. I mean, there's so many different changes that Riot is making to League to make it more accessible to new players. And this is just another one. Like, they're introducing WASD movement, which we're going to talk about later as well. And all these different ways that it's like, for a beginner, it's not as overwhelming to learn everything, which is like cool. It's going to bring more people in, but it definitely, in my opinion, does lower skill expression.
I think it's actually so funny how everybody's different backgrounds play so much into like what they view as like important for skill expression. Because Eli comes from Halo, I come from Paladins, where I coached, and we had similar to League experience where we would draft our team, and then as the coach, I was not allowed to communicate during the game at all. So I think there's a little bit of beauty to that, of you prep them and then you send your children off to war to fight it and make the best
in Halo,
survive.
they're a fifth man that's like,
yeah, you're part of it.
Yeah, they're helping and keeping track of the timers, which I think would be a cool feature as well. There's already enough coaches for League, though, and then they're going to have to, hire like another on-stage coach?
Yeah.
So,
It would just be the same coach. I mean, most of these I've got the roster right here. Most people already have a head and assistant coach. Some have two assistant coaches.
yeah, might as well.
I mean, 100 Thieves already has their coach playing in the game with
That
them.
is also
I mean, like, they're already there.
Yeah.
True. But yeah, that was that one. I guess we're going to my clutcher kick. And that is that True Skill 2 will not save ranked League. So I've been seeing a lot of conversations about this. It's a big change to ranked for League. This was a Reddit post. Sorry for the wall
The
of
heck
text.
does it even say?
I know it's a lot of small letters, but he makes a lot of the same points that I wanted to make. That's why I had this here. Basically, the way True Skill works is it's going to account for your individual performance and the way that you deal damage, your vision score, your DPS, turret damage. All these things will factor into how much LP you gain or how much LP you lose based on your team. So I don't think this is a healthy thing for the game because True Skill 2, once again, it's in Halo. So my background playing a part of this, it's in Halo Infinite. I think it's ruined the ranked experience in Halo Infinite. I think it was originally designed for Halo 5 by Microsoft. I think that for it to work in League, it would need a crazy amount of tuning and changes. At its core, True Skill 2 is low-key a dopamine manipulation device as well. It's designed to keep people engaged and continuing to play. So after it decides what rank you should be, so after just a handful of games, 2 or 3 games, it's going to look at all your stats and decide what rank you should be, and then use that to then gauge how much LP you gain or lose. It's going to try to keep you in that box. So what it does is it doesn't really reward you for actually getting better at the game, because it's, even if you pop off, it's like, well, you just had a good game, so we're still not going to give you that much LP. You're supposed to be here. And I just don't like it, man. I think that it's not as good. I think the current rank system, LP gains and losses are fine, and that True Skill might just ruin it. So
I'll start. I'm going to clutch it. I agree with Eli. I don't have any personal experience with True Skill, but I definitely don't think it's going to save the League experience. I think all it's going to lead to is more tweets of saying, oh, here's my score line. Why did I get only +7 LP? It's just going to be more of the same complaints. And also, I don't think that how you get the win should really matter. If I am a crazy person, if I'm Solar Baka #2 and I want to play Janna 80 carry, and I'm not putting out damage, I'm not contributing that much to my team, but my team wins every game, I deserve an equal amount of credit for that regardless of my performance. So yeah, clutch. Okay, sorry. I just actually got very confused right there and thought that when I clutched it, I said I agree with True Skill, but no. I don't mess with True Skill, and I clutch Eli's agreement.
I'm going to kick it just because it's unknown to me right now, right? And because he explained a lot.
I don't know what I don't like.
Yeah.
He explained a lot, and will it save ranked League? I mean, to me, these are two different topics. I think True Skill 2, if implemented correctly, could give players something to fight for. So we talked about blitz.gg, the little add-on. One of my favorite features of that as a support main who sometimes goes, and dabbles in top lane or jungle or whatever, is it gives me a metric that says hey, based on, other players' ranks, this is how much CS a minute they get. And I can try to use that as a mini game for myself to try to get better and to try to perform better. Because a lot of, so you want to climb ranks, guys, laning phase is the best thing you can get good at. Mm-hmm. And so I've always had a weak laning phase, like an 80 carry as an example. But I know that if I can get my farm up, naturally I'm going to have a lot more gold in my pocket compared to the other people that low elo like go get distracted with other stuff, right? They waste a lot of time. So I like having those metrics available to me. So if they implement this system and it gives players like a meaningful stat to chase to show where you can improve, then I think it could save ranked league. But I don't know. It just depends on how they implement it. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't want to jump off on like a negative foot with it.
I'm clutching this, and it's kind of exactly what his point was, is that saying that they're going to give him a stat line to chase will be an issue in League. And I think being that, let's use AG carry as an example, it's most likely going to come down to CS, and then it's going to come down to KDA because that is a major importance in the role for it. And I think this is going to become an issue because people in some of these carry roles are now going to become KDA chasers instead of playing the game how it should actually be played in some points, where you may end up having to play some risky plays and then you just chase KDA and then you end up losing. But they're like, oh, it's fine, we lost, but since my KDA is positive by 10 because all I did was sit behind turrets the whole entire time, the team may end up losing, but my LP, I may only lose like 1 LP, which may be a little bit of an exaggeration, but because of that true skill, it's like, oh, well, you did really good, but you lost because your team was trying to play the game in a correct fashion as to maybe the meta should be played.
There's just so many issues with it too. Like now, if kill stealing is also LP stealing, like if I steal your kill, I'm gonna get more LP. So like I'm gonna
As a support main, that's good for me, baby.
you chase.
I call it kill secure.
Or like there was even discussions of like skill shot hit percentage could be a factor, but it's like, what if you're using a skill shot to like zone somebody out? Like you don't intend to actually hit it, but now I'm gonna get less LP because I missed this shot or whatever. I don't know. It's gonna adjust people's playstyle where they're gonna play for the system instead of the game, and that's exactly what happened in Halo. There's a player that purposefully tanks his KD because it also impacts matchmaking, like who gets on your team. If your stats are awful for your rank, then you get better teammates. So he does this on purpose, and then he plays where he outputs damage but doesn't get the kills. So then his KD continues to be bad, but he's still winning because he's getting good players on his team. Like there's ways to game true skill, and that's gonna definitely happen in League as well.
I also want to know if True Skill is like reading the chat. Like I think how positive that I am in the chat to my teammates and my clever little quips. Like those should be that should be factored in too. That's a very serious thing that I do to help my teammates out, and I better be getting credit for it.
Now let's give you honor credit for it.
It's okay, man. 10 deaths really isn't that bad. Look at Boss.
I know I'm 0-8, but like let's be positive.
I'm about to hit my 0-10 power spike.
Yeah.
We had some super clutches. We had some mixed reviews on it. Let us know what you all think about our clutching kicks today, and if you think that true skill expression would be good or not for the game. Listen in the comment section below. But let's get back to League of Legends and some of the competitive play. As we've talked about, the elimination phase is upon us, which means that we will be having 4 teams play this weekend for each of the different, North and South. LTA, I guess it's all the same thing at the end of the day, but the different regions within LTA. So we had some of our fantasy teams for the LTA Fantasy. If you don't know about it, go check it out, ltafantasy.com. And that way you can choose your own team and then play against some of your friends like we are doing here. We're going to go ahead and show off who we think are going to be some of the top performing players of this weekend. Starting off with Kepley.
Yeah, so for my pick'ems, I did, I hope I say these names right, Guigo. For Furia, Doom, for Red Kalunga, I think that's right. Kalunga is how you say it. Palafaker, Rebello, and then Tarimbi. So I went a lot of LTA South this time, mainly for budget reasons, guys.
Nice.
Yeah, budget was rough this time.
Yeah.
All right, and we'll go ahead and jump into mine. Let me go ahead and pull up so I make sure I have everyone correct, because I've changed it quite a few times here. But it will be Fudge, Doom, Tatsu, Rebello, and Seos. So those are going to be my picks.
Okay. I think mine is next. Not too different. Fudge, Doom, Kaze, Rebello, and Trimby. I'm noticing a trend here between us.
Yeah, a lot of Dooms.
Yep.
Dooms.
Then mine next. I also have Doom. I've got a lot of Red Kalunga, F&B, Doom. APA in the mid lane from TL. First time, I think, is that the first TL player, period?
I think so.
And then Rebello and Trimby down in the bot lane, too. I think for everybody, I'll speak for all of us, the difficulty this week was that so few teams are competing, and like if you want to pick people who play that week, which, clearly if you're trying to get as many points as possible, you want to, you did not have that many options. And then if you're trying to get your variety buff, you want to get maybe your favorite player. Like Chris, I know you wanted Thanatos, but literally, I think if you pick Thanatos, it's impossible to make another roster. So
that's actually
RIP
very
for Thanatos.
True. I was actually at one point even considering keeping Thanatos, and then I had Griffin because I had gotten Vivoed and Loud mixed up on who had ranked where. And then I was actually considering just keeping Griffin because it would have given me a full variety buff at the end of the day with the amount of points I could have had. And switching up, I would have actually swapped off. Much of you guys had the Vivo Keystar support at the bottom. I was thinking about putting him in there instead of Seos and then keeping Thanatos, but having Griffin and seeing if it could have played out better to where maybe Thanatos pops off, I get the variety buff, and then it offsets for having one player not play. Ultimately decided against it because I wanted to have players that were actually playing and try to fit in there, but that ended up being how mine ended up playing out also.
Yeah, and it might be just it might be a good thing. We see the overall standings here of just, the rankings for the leagues. J-Dog on top with the dog pound.
That's right.
And then we got Tad Davis, the Tadpole, coming up in second out there in production.
All right,
yeah, we love
he's
that
dead.
guy.
He's dead.
Eli holding it down in third. Yeah, Eli holding it down in third.
I had
Then
a
we
good
got
week
Chris
three.
in fourth and me in fifth. I missed 2 weeks, guys. I'm not going to use that as a crutch, but I'm still a loser. Right?
I mean, Chris only missed 1 week, and you've almost caught up to him in a single week there. So
I had a really good week last week, but
Yeah, you had the highest score despite not having a score the first 2 weeks. So
yeah, which is insane.
I'm
just playing the multiplier, guys. So like, this wasn't really a segment when we did this in the last split, but my strategy last split, which this is maybe by design with him, but I hate it. My strategy last split was I refused to use LTA South players, mainly because I don't know them, right? And I don't get to watch their games as much. But I wanted to do it only with LTA North because folks like Chris and them were pulling from what I called the easy matches, right? Where they would farm a lot of high points.
Pretty low, yeah.
And so I just stuck with one region. But it's literally impossible with this format with the multiplier buffs and especially with like a lot of the player restrictions that I had for this week. It's like I couldn't get the variety and still get someone from like all the teams because like if I wanted to pick Blippo, who I had literally all last season, I couldn't buy almost anyone else, which is crazy.
I mean, there's only 4 teams playing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or 18.
Or 18, 14 in each group.
Yeah, and they're all so expensive. Like, give me someone
yeah,
cheap.
this
This
is
is
the
the top
top
round,
performing
exactly.
groups. Yeah, I was kind of sad because I actually wanted, I was kind of sacrificing some points because I really wanted to keep Griffin on my team the whole entire time because, as I said before, I'm a firm believer that he will be able to come to the LTA North eventually.
You're a fanboy.
Yeah, I am a fanboy. He's a really good player, but we're also missing a lot of what I consider, top performing, LTA North, representatives that actually come from the region, and he would be a resident from North America if he came back, not taking up a slot, and he's a young player. I want to keep him on there because I'm a fanboy and I want to see him pop off. And unfortunately, since Loud isn't playing, I had to sub him off. Maybe I should have kept him on. Who knows? But it is very interesting how this plays out. I'm not sure if they took full thought into how this, as you said, maybe they should have just taken off a lot of the players and not even had them as being able to pick them.
Yeah, I think they definitely needed to do and missed out on the opportunity to do some sort of an adjustment for this week. Whether they combine this week and next week into one, I guess maybe you don't want to do that because you'd like to keep engagement up, but adjusting the points maybe so you have more points in this one and it goes back down, or a one-time modifier to the people who are playing this week so their points are actually reasonable to fit within the budget. A little bit of a missed opportunity there, but overall we do love the fantasy system. It's added some joy to the office.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. So.
Well, those are our picks. As you saw our scores, remember that you can join with your friends and play as well, or you can just see how we do and make fun of us for our points and missing weeks and all that funness. But let's go ahead and jump into some of the big stories that are happening around the league right now. And one of the big ones that we talked about a little bit earlier is that there have been a lot of dev updates. The first one, we're not going to delve too deep into one thing. It's just the overall, we had the massive update from the devs. We're getting skins, we're getting WASD movement, true skill expression, timers added.
The Smurfing crackdown we talked about earlier.
Yeah, all this is coming down. We'll have a link below so you can check that out if you haven't seen it yet. But what is everybody's favorite addition that will be coming from this dev update?
Doombots.
Nice. Yeah, Doombots is up there for me.
Yeah, Doombots is like one of the most fun game experiences they have. But then other than Doombots, I mean, we won't see it for a while because it'll be in PvE, but WASD movement I think is really great. And I have, Zen Shao getting an update. Like, that's cool. It's whatever, though.
Yeah, I'm really curious about WASD. I feel like it has the potential to have issues. I thought Kadril had a really balanced take on it. He said that he got to play it in MSI. They had like a setup where people could play it and they were doing 1v1s with pros. He said that the biggest thing that he noticed was how easy it is to kite as an ADC, which is what we theoried crafted, when we first heard about this. He was like, I literally just held A and S and then right click. And it doesn't matter what your attack speed is, it will perfectly kite and then attack and kite and attack and kite. And it's like, that seems really awesome for low ranks. I don't know if it'll be awesome in high ranks. We'll have to see.
Well, I have 2 thumbs up for that because as an AD carry player, it's going to be a lot of fun. Personally, I'm excited for it because of playing Supervive. I played a lot of Supervive. I actually like the WASD movement in that, which I think is going to be kind of a similar way that we're going to play out that. I mean, I do a lot of AS movement from, Supervive as well. So I might play a little bit more to try to get a little used to it. Of course, it'll be mixing up a little bit because, if you do use the D, I'm, used to that as one of my summoner spells. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how that plays out. And then, as you said, there's a lot of, longtime pros who are used to that RTS style. Again, it's not we have to move over to WASD. It will be an option that we can choose. So I think it'll be cool to see if maybe it brings in a new flex of players that can get good because of using it, and whether or not old players stay with point and click or they move over. It'll be interesting to see. I'm also really excited for Doombots because I think that's a really fun mode to play and a lot of chaos.
Yeah, I'm not too optimistic about the WASD potential control scheme based off really the fact that they've said they don't want it to be better than the normal control scheme. So I think even if the ability for AD carries with high attack speed to kite really well is how it is now, I think if they get to a point where players are switching to WASD during team fights in late game or something, they're going to nerf it. They're going to figure out some way to make the normal play scheme a little bit better. So I'm a little bit not sold on it. I also saw some of the junglers who were in those playtests saying that it was very weird for the jungle where moving between the camps in an efficient way is so important. And, League is not like a vertical map. It's kind of skewed to the side. So, like, if you're a jungler trying to go from your bottom camps to your top camps, you need to, like, hold both W and A, which sounded like was not as simple as it sounds when you just say it.
Yeah, it's like you only have 8 directions of movement, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's the cardinal directions plus the northwest, northeast, whatever.
Intercardinal.
But like I don't know, maybe if there was a way, and they're gonna keep making changes to it, where like the amount of pressure you put on the key, like if you're just lightly holding up and then hard holding left, like you'll move at like a 16th angle.
Yeah.
But then you need the right equipment, like you need the pressure sensitive keyboard for that to be possible as well. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. They also mentioned there's some camera changes coming, like a dynamic camera that follows your mouse while you're moving in WASD. Because, if you try to move your camera and you're like looking around the map, I think you're locked camera right now for the WASD and the test, but it's going to evolve over time. And I think they'll keep making improvements. I'm just curious to see how it plays.
I'm excited for it. I mean, I'm very optimistic for it. I think that WASD is going to open a lot of doors for people who have previously been turned off by the game because the movement's different. And yeah, like at the highest level of play, there is a realistic expectation that like one control scheme is better than the other based on the role that you play. But the most important thing that this does for me, which I haven't really seen a lot of people talk about, is it starts to get closer to Wild Rift has really filled this category because Wild Rift is supposed to be the one that comes to consoles. But it gets it closer to where you can put this on controller, and then you really expand your base if you can put League on PlayStation or on Xbox or something like that. And just getting first to the simplistic controls and ironing those kinks out makes that transition a lot more possible.
Being a MOBA on console was huge for Smite. I mean, Smite, I think, existed off the fact that League didn't have a console version for almost 10 years and made millions of dollars. So getting into that market will be huge for them.
Well, speaking about money and markets, 2024 skins have been revealed and their picks. We haven't seen what they look like, but we know what champions they're getting. And, well, right now, Faker is getting 2 skins once again, so I think that brings him up to 10, which gives him more skins than actually some champions have. But
he gets that second one because he was the MVP, correct?
Correct,
Okay.
yes. And so I believe it is going to be the Silas that is the Prestige, and then the Yone
what I've heard as
is
well.
going to be kind of the base level one. We have Nar at the top for Zeus, Vi for Owner, Varus for Gumayushi, and then Kyria gets the Pike, which is kind of iconic there. For me, of course, as an AD carry, Varus, love Varus. I'm super excited for that skin, but I'm ready to hear y'all's thoughts.
Well, I'll be buying Pike. immediately. I don't really like to buy the World's team skins, to be honest with you, but Pike and Carry, I think, to me, Carry is the best support in the world. It's not even close right now. And so his Pike is so legendary, and it just had some fantastic moments. So I want to buy that. I really wish that he could have got MVP, so maybe I got like a Prestige Pike or something like that. But I'm honed in on that one. And I think Silas Faker could be really cool if done right too. Where's Galio? Question mark.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'm surprised they didn't pick Galio because that's like the most memorable game from Worlds. In
Well,
my
Faker
opinion.
picks.
Was that? Oh, he got to pick. Who?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
It has to be one that you played in World. You can't pick someone random.
Yeah.
But
I would say
Or
like
else we would've gotten
thematically, Silas and Yone probably are gonna look pretty cool. So maybe it's like, what could you even do with Galio? He's just a big hunk of rock. I mean, you could probably figure out something cool for it, but yeah, I just want to see what they look like, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the looks of it. Also, subtle shout out here for the very niche people who did invest in it, but the RE, what do they call the Hall of Legends
Hall of
skin,
Legends,
getting the upgrade, right? So we're not outdated.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get that upgrade. So technically, Faker gets like 3 skins.
yeah, that's
Oh,
huge.
sure.
I like most of those picks. I was a little questionable of the Gnar. I mean, we already had SSG Gnar in the game, so this will be the second World skin for Gnar. But I know it's a very popular champ for Zeus, one of his favorites, and I think I saw some hilarious thing that he's going to have Zeus's little spectacle glasses and stuff. It'll be really hilarious to see if that stays also. You know, Gnar's an interesting one because you get kind of 2 skins. You get Baby Gnar and Mega Gnar.
True, yeah.
So double
Definitely,
value.
for the Vi, hoping she's kind of jacked out just like Owner is. Mostly.
I think she'll.
But
I want her to have the coat.
Yes,
yeah, the coat
exactly.
with the
Yeah,
arms
that's what I was
not
saying
through the
as well.
sleeves. That's like his signature.
Yeah, his signature.
His
coat.
aura
He
move.
just
Yeah,
has that
true, that would
T1
be
jacket
fire.
on her.
Yeah.
That's off to the side.
Maybe like
sleeveless.
from
just-
Arcane, like when she's in the pit fighting and her hair's dyed black, but with the coat on.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be fun.
You can definitely do some great stuff with that one. But now we're going to go transfer over, as we talked about on the last episode, that Darken will most likely be the theme for the Season 3, but we have heard leaks that there will be no map update. We got one for Noxus when that came out, then we got one for Spirit Blossom. Right now, there's no planned theme map. We're going back to the regular old Summoner's Rift plane looking map skin, or default skin, whatever you want to call it right now. Which obviously, if you don't know much about Darken, they're just living weapons. There's no real region for them, which may be the reason for going into this. So I still think that Riot possibly could have done a little something, even maybe had expanded on Darkens a little bit and made maybe some of the towers living weapons that could have, have gone off. I feel like they could have done something. And it just kind of feels like a shame after having 2 kind of hype skins for the map so far this year and then kind of falling flat at the end.
It's one of those things though that like Riot sets this precedent of every season is a whole new map and a new champion. It's like you're kind of every time you up the bar, like now people are going to be disappointed when you don't, have one of those features. But you also got to think about like there's human beings that have to do a lot of work for these things to become reality. So I don't know. I'm also disappointed, but it's because I was set up for disappointment, man. You put 2 cool maps in back to back, and now you just get the regular one. So
I'm not even personally disappointed. I think it's pretty reasonable to have a break between the map themes. It's not that Summoner's Rift is a constantly changing world that every season is going to have a different look to it. The default Summoner's Rift has a lot of nostalgia for me, and if when they started doing these different ones, it meant that I never got traditional SR again, I probably wouldn't even truly be down for them. So I think it's good to go back to it. Probably is what we were talking about last week, the fact that Darken is a theme that they've only got like 3 champions in the game, 4 soon to come. I think they actually have just recently leaked some information about the next Darken coming. It's going to be the Glaive one that we're kind of seeing. I think Otacon has something like
some
that.
weird off of it that we made.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think there's power in simplicity, and sometimes just going back to the basics is nice. And you give your devs time to cook up something better for the start of the year, right? Because a lot of your map thematics right now are going to be dictated by worlds, right? They always add in like the trophy section or whatever, so you get to just focus on worlds and have that be the emphasis on a simple Summoner's Rift, and you don't have to worry about worlds taking away from the theme of another season.
my theory is what you said, that they're just cooking something up behind the scenes, maybe in tandem with like the next Arcane release or announcement or something, that they might have some theme with that. So I don't know. That's my theory.
I'd honestly love if they just went and stayed silent for it, and come closer to Christmas time, they give us back Snowy Summoner's Rift
Oh, that'd be awesome.
in like a new updated
was a
thing,
great
like
one.
as a nice throwback. Because I mean, that's what a lot of people's kind of hopes for is they think back in the past with like we had like the Halloween themed map and the Christmas themed one. So even if you just give us a little bit of that for a small time, people are gonna love it. And we're already getting to a state like with ARAM where they're showing like, hey, we have the technology to maybe rotate maps, right?
Yep.
So you end up on a different themed one each time. That could be what they're cooking up too.
I think do a Marvel Rival style. Give us a SR themed Christmas map and a special Christmas game mode. I mean, that Jeff the Shark mode went crazy last winter for people. I mean, I had been way off of Marvel Rivals for months, and I was back playing that stupid little shark game. So that could be a big hit for them.
A couple little Poro, Braum, Santa Poro coming in and
yeah.
having fun with that. Maybe
Sounds like a
make
good
some fun.
time.
Yeah, it does sound like a good time. Maybe they have it already up and cooking. But let us know what you think. Personally, with this, I am just kind of excited to see the Darkin universe expanding a little bit. So we'll see how that plays out for it. Let us know what you all think about the maps, whether or not you want to have another themed map, or if you're glad that they're just going back to vanilla Summoner's Rift. Either or will be a great time to see how this new champion comes out. And that should be all it for today. You know, we had a great time talking about everything and talking about clutching kicks. Luckily, we didn't have 3 super clutches this time. We kind of mixed it up a little bit. But
Maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe one day. But let us know what you're most excited for in this coming week of League of Legends. We have a lot of great games going on this weekend and a lot of updates as well coming in the next couple of weeks with those dev updates. We will see you all next time.
Bye.